Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Mandy, and today I have another special guest for you, Simone du Plessis, who is a nutritionist, and we will have a conversation around the mindset of food and the relationship we have with food. So, we're not going to dive too deeply in what to eat and what not to eat, although there will be a few tips around that. But our biggest focus will be how we can improve our relationship and the way we think about food, because that's definitely something that I've been struggling with because of all the confusion and contradictions that are out there. She will also share her 6 pillars of a healthy lifestyle with us that we can start implementing immediately after listening to this episode. I hope you're as excited as I am. Let's not wait any longer and get right into it. Hi, Simone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited about this topic because it's a topic that I've been struggling with a lot my whole life. So, just for our viewers, today we're not going to talk about or discuss so much what to eat, what not to eat, what diet plan to follow. We're not going to go into those specifics. Our topic today is more around the mindset of food, or the mindset we have with food, the relationship we have with nutrition, because I think that's really where it starts. If you don't have a good mindset and a good relationship with food, you're going to struggle with whatever dietary plan or philosophy you follow afterward. And I've always had a rocky relationship with food, and not in the sense that I've had eating disorders or where my weight like fluctuated extremely. I've been very fortunate that my weight has been quite stable, but I've just always struggled to know what I should eat and what is healthy, what isn't healthy, because health is important to me. But it's been a topic that I've been avoiding for so long just because I'm so confused about it. There's so much conflicting information around there, and you can read a bunch of books and watch documentaries and go on the internet and search what is healthy nutrition. And you'll find so much contradiction there, and they're all based in science. They're all very credible. So it's always the conversation around food has always left me more confused and a little bit discouraged. Like, it's been an uncomfortable relationship, and that's why I've chosen ignorant bliss when it comes to diet. So I just eat whatever I need to eat to be full. And obviously I avoid the foods that make me feel really bad, but still there's no real plan and I don't have a real connection with food. So first of all, I just want to hear from you. I mean, you being in this industry, you're a nutritionist, and how did you come to enjoy the topic of nutrition and food? So what has your journey been? Did you love nutrition from the get-go? Has it always been something that you were interested in? Or did you have a bad experience that pushed you to research more and to go into this direction?
Okay. Well, thank you, Mandy, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to reach out to people. And I hope that they resonate. So, firstly, yes, I had a very bad relationship with food. That's how it started at a very young age. It was in my early 20s. I went through an emotional experience and didn't know how to work with any of my emotions at that time. So, I turned to food for comfort. I was overeating, binge eating, so it went into a disorder. That went on for, I gained about 10 kilograms in 2 to 3 months. So for my
Um,
body frame, that's a lot. It was very, so I'm going to be very vulnerable. I'm just going to open up. I believe that's how people are going to resonate. Because, yeah, okay.
mm.
So I used to eat, like, um, I used to hide that I was overeating, obviously, because guilt and shame. And so yeah, I created a very bad relationship with myself, with my body, with my inner. And that went on for a few months until I just said I couldn't do it anymore. And I decided to start training and study nutrition so that I can understand what to put in my body and what my body actually needs. because I also went into a depression at that time. Yeah, so once I've done that, it's amazing. I was immediately intrigued when I started studying. I really loved it, and I had a big pulling towards it. But that's not when it stops, because it's not an overnight thing. It's a journey, and it's going to be different for everyone. It all depends on what kind of eating disorder you also have. So for a training, yes, I got my body into shape. I was looking very good. I was doing gym work, boot camp, all of it. Started with CrossFit, and then I started getting addicted to how my body looked then. So I started having a problem with with how much to eat, and it was just very unhealthy. Wasn't healthy at all. Everything was just too much. I was just doing it. I was overdoing it, because I always thought I had to look a certain part, so that people can believe in me. And that was one of the things. And that's how through the years, because I've been doing this now for about 14 years. So throughout the years in my journey, I've discovered that all about comes back to self-love. I didn't accept myself. I didn't love myself. So that was a big one when I could figure that out.
Yes, and it makes so much sense, because if you don't honor yourself, you're not going to honor your body, and you're not going to care what you feed it and how you fuel it. And that brings me to the next point. Before we started recording, I mentioned a book. I actually have it here with me. It is German though, and unfortunately, there's no English translation. But my mom sent me this book from Germany a couple of years ago, and I resonated with it so much. Or if there are any German listeners out there, it's called Ich habe es satt by Niels Binberg. And he developed an eating disorder because of all the information that we're flooded with. Like, this is a health trend that I need to jump on, or okay, now this is devalidated, now I need to go in a different direction. And he actually developed, and I looked this up, orthorexia nervosa. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. So I'm just going to give you a quick description of what it is. And I found this on ncbi.com, National Center for Biotechnology Information. And it says orthorexia nervosa is perhaps best summarized as an obsession with healthy eating with associated restrictive behaviors. The attempt to attain optimum health through attention to diet may lead to malnutrition, loss of relationships, and poor quality of life. And just a disclaimer, according to WebMD, this isn't an official diagnosis, but the basic idea is that it includes eating habits that reject a variety of foods for not being pure enough. And eventually people with orthorexia begin to avoid whole meals that don't meet their standards or that they don't make themselves. And this is obviously in its extreme sense, if it's a disorder, that you almost have this fear of food. But I can resonate with it, because I've experienced it so many times that someone who's very convincing, or a book that's very convincing, brings me on this train of, okay, I have to eat like this now. And then you hear something else and then you freak out. Then you're like a deer in headlights and you don't know where to go anymore. And then you feel guilty for everything you put in your mouth because you don't know whether it's healthy or not.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's so much things out there, Mandy. It's crazy. And in the end, it comes back to having just a baseline, a healthy foundation of eating. But I know that everyone doesn't know where to start, how to get into it, and that's how I can teach you. But it's going back to the basics. It's eating what the earth is providing us. But yes, it gets confusing with how much carbs and how much fats and how much protein and this diet or this diet. I get it 100%, and I've been through all of it. It's not fun to go through all of that, but I think it was necessary for me to go through it.
Yes, because now you can help us, and I've kind of stopped there. To me, it was all just too much, and I'm like, now I'm just going to eat whatever makes me full. and then I'll go from there. But it's also, it doesn't feel good, you know, because health is important. I love exercising. I'd love to eat in a way that supports my exercise a little bit more. And also, you know, my goal is to be 101 one day, and a healthy 101. So it is an important subject, but yeah, it's kind of, it's a hard way to, or it's a difficult subject to approach. And on that note, what do you think the mindset around food should be?
First thing is, I would say, is just stop telling yourself that you need to diet. It's the first thing,
Mm,
and stop trying to go on to diet, because yes, all of them work in a way. They work for the first 2 weeks because you're excited, you're working towards a goal, and then it just goes, you go back into old habits. So it has a lot to do with habits, and then psychological factors, social factors. So there's so much that plays a role. So the first thing I would ask myself if I'm in a situation whereby I don't have a good relationship with food is ask myself why. And and if you want to set a goals for yourself, also ask yourself why. It's the inner work and it's important. But I understand people don't know where to start. So I've got like a 6 foundational pillar that I'm going to also discuss. And I'm going to share something more in depth with everyone afterwards. When they reach out to me, this is something I would give to everyone just to start off with and to
mhm.
make things a little.
I think that, and you've mentioned it before, that eating is not a rational thing. It's an emotional thing. And I think we attach a lot of our identity to the food that we eat as well, and the people we surround ourselves with. You know, for example, I wanted to stop drinking coffee at some point, and the first thought that came to my mind was, oh, but then I'm going to miss the quality time I have with my hubby on weekends, because we love that first coffee on a Saturday morning. And immediately it was almost this panic, like I'm going to lose out on something very important in my life if I give up certain things. So it definitely isn't only about what we consume, it's about the connection we have to the things that we consume. And I think that makes it really difficult to change and to let go of, because changing our food lifestyle will also have an impact on our general lifestyle, and even to the extent that it has an effect on our relationships.
I agree with you, and especially with social gatherings, and especially the younger you are, the more difficult it is to speak up for yourself, and you always worry about what others think, and that's one of the problems. It's let me use myself as an example. When I went on, like, if you have a goal that you're working towards, yes, follow a program, get the guidance that you need, but also in that you need to start changing habits. So you need to, first thing is acknowledge, ask yourself why, and then start taking accountability. And
Mm.
also situation, accept where you are with yourself and with your body, accept yourself, because we tend to be, we way too hard on ourselves. And yeah, the relationship that we have and the thoughts that keeps on going through our minds, it's so unhealthy, and it's this a constant loop that we go through, and then we don't know how to break out of it, and then that's when it gets to depression. And you know, we do need some support when it comes to nutrition. And I would say ask yourself why, accept your situation, and then take accountability, and get the
Mm.
help that you in a healthy way. I believe to be on groups, social groups, on platforms, listening to these kind of podcasts, and reach out to a nutritionist or to whoever you know that is close by that can assist you with this. Yeah.
Also, to the point of accepting your situation, I think it's really hard to love yourself if you feel like crap about yourself. I know if I go through a stage where I'm just like munching cookies and chocolates, because I go through phases like that, when my stomach presses against my pants, there's no way I'm going to convince myself that I love my body. You know, I'll be like, damn it, this feels horrible. But I think accepting it, accepting that this is your starting point, that's the key. It's like, okay, I'm not going to think about how crap or how bad I am or feel guilty and shame about it. I'm going to accept this is my starting point. And with full acceptance, I can then move forward with the help of others.
100%.
Mm.
Yeah. And even with I was just want to quickly get back to social gatherings. It's, let's say you went and saw a nutritionist, you got a meal plan, you want to lose some weight, and now the weekend comes, because that is the biggest obstacle during the week. Everyone has routine, it's easy to do, and then weekends come, and that's the social factor that plays a very big role. I always say, even if you do follow a meal plan, you have to not see it as a diet, it's a guidance. And then when you do get to a weekend and there's a braai and someone offers you chips and something inside of you says, I want that chips. And usually you would grab like two hands. You just talk to yourself as, I'm going to take a handful of chips, and that is okay. And that's
Mm.
okay.
Mm.
That's a good thing. It's okay. If your brain says, I'm not there yet to leave it completely, have some of it instead of indulging and overdoing it. And all these small changes, yes, it makes a massive difference. But it's the
Mm.
way that we talk about regarding food the whole time.
Yes, yes. And I think to that point, it's also about control, because I think with eating, we feel out of control a lot. We feel like we just like a leaf blowing in the wind. Whatever we're in the mood for, we just follow that. And we feel like we have no control over it. And by saying, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of what you want, but I still control how much. Or I control the fact that I'll just eat one chip less than I would have normally, even if it's just one little chippy or one piece of chocolate less. That's not necessarily going to make a big difference in your weight loss or your journey when it comes to looking a different way, but it will give you a sense of control. So if I was able to just stop myself a little bit, then it means I'm gradually taking back the control.
Yes, definitely. Because even when I create a meal plan for clients, I would always tell them, like, I know I've said this, but it's not a diet, it's a guideline. And then we're going to start changing, because I ask a lot of questions before I create a meal plan, because it's very individualized. We're all different. We all have different situations and medical backgrounds. So it gets like specified to your
Mm.
needs and then to your goals. But it's about breaking habits, and breaking habits. It's been formed over years. You're not gonna break it in one day or 2 weeks. It's not gonna happen. Instead of removing everything and just telling you you're only allowed to eat greens, I found out what is your current lifestyle like, and we incorporate. And I'll just know, and I'll start teaching you how much, when to eat what, and why. What is the reason for it? And then if you understand why you're following something you want to, and then we make it convenient, we make it fun, we make it enjoyable, and so that it can last, so that you can keep on wanting to do it. So I've got clients that's been with me for very long, and then I've got clients that hasn't been very long. And the ones that has been not too long didn't have a lot of habits to be that had to be broken. And that's what I actually want. I want you to come join a program with me, because I do assessments with you every 4 weeks. I want to see you in person, because this helps me to see, okay, what are your struggles? Where must I fit in? Where can I help you? Where can I guide you? And then this is all things, the people that's not with me anymore, and they've learned all the tools so they can go on. Every now and then they'll reach out saying, okay, I've hit a little bit of a plateau, I just need some new ideas. And that's what we want. That's
Mm.
healthy.
Mm.
You then protein, fats, carbs, and what nutrients the body needs on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what advice would you give those people who don't have direct access to a nutritionist, or that's not in their vicinity at the moment? How can you start with breaking habits? So an idea would, for example, be if you eat 3 unhealthy meals a day, just replace one with something healthy. Or if you have a whole plate full, maybe just change one part of your plate into something healthy. Would that be an approach, or where do you start with habit changing?
With yes, let me give you a little bit of guidance. I would say the first thing when you wake up is to have a glass of water. Start forming that habit. Even if you can make it, even if it's just a glass of water, that's great, because you're waking up the system. But if you can put it in squeezed lemon, with lukewarm water, even better, because you're waking up the digestive system. So that's what you want. And then three, this doesn't have to be, but this is just basics for anyone that wants to try it out. It's you have your lemon water, you have a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then for your three main meals, like ensure that your breakfast has a variety of nutrients that you need, and that can be oats with fruits and yeah, healthy milk. But we're not going to go into depth with all the nutrition on food, otherwise we'll sit here the whole day. But have that breakfast. It's very important. And I know so many people are skipping breakfast and then are overeating. And then we don't understand why our bodies are holding on to all of this. It's stress, it's cortisol, all of this is like it's just adding up into the body and we don't metabolize proper. And then so breakfast, a healthy balanced breakfast, lunch, have a plate, and then ensure that half of your plate is veg or like a green salad. Quarter is your protein, and the other quarter is carbs. Carbs of your choice. If you can just start off with that and do the same for your dinner. And there's so many ideas out there. You can grab ideas like on the internet just with the eye to see okay what kind of carbs, protein and veg I would want. You can even make bowls with the salads. There's so much that we can do. And then snack, go to snacks, especially if you've got cravings and you like sweet things, go to fruits. That's one of my biggest things. It's helped me, severely with cravings and when my body went through different types of dips, especially what I've been putting it through. So fruits is a go-to, and we're not getting enough fruits in. So snack on fruits. And even to give you an example, like when we're sick, and I've heard this now a lot lately because everyone keeps on getting sick. All they can stomach is food. So fruit. Sorry. So what does that tell you? Like when they're down and out and they don't have any appetite. Why do they only go towards fruit? Because the fruit will heal you. It's an interesting like natural way of putting it.
Okay. On that note, again, you often hear people say, eat what makes you feel good. And I'm almost of the opinion that we don't know what that is anymore. So in extreme cases, I love the example that you just gave. If you're sick, what do you crave? That's probably something that your body tells you, hey, I need this, but that's in extreme cases. When I eat, I can't really, there are certain foods where I know if I eat this, I'm going to feel really bad afterward. There's a certain brand of salt and vinegar chips that my husband and I call that death. Are we going to have a snack of death? Because you feel like you're dying afterwards. It's just horrible. But in general, for foods, it's really difficult to know what is good for you. I think we've lost that natural feeling of what really, what is healthy and what makes us feel good. I don't know if you have some guidance on that, on how we can connect to that again. Should we start to exclude certain things and see if that makes a difference, or how can we go about that?
So definitely, especially with how we've been, I can say like programmed with the food industry, selling a product saying it's fat-free, sugar-free, and then it's not because we don't know how to read a nutrition label. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should be able to, but if you want to be safe, it goes back to don't consume processed food and the sugars that we know, because instinctively we know it's wrong. We just don't want to accept it because it's an addiction. We've gotten addicted to, I can say, sugar and processed food. Your body is craving it because that's what it wants. So now if you start feeding your body with the whole foods that we need and we know we should be doing, but I know that it's difficult to make the transition, but that's where the work comes in from yourself. So I always say to everyone, I can give you 50%, but I need your 50%. I can give you all the tools and tips and I can teach you all, I can give you all the knowledge that you need to know to understand why you're doing things differently. But yeah, it's going to be 50-50. And I think if you understand just the basics of food, like considering what it is that your body needs on a daily basis, it's going to be so much easier. So that's something that I'm bringing into this program. It's going to be, it's just going to be something easy to follow and a guideline for you to start prepping to incorporate some changes that you can start making. But it's not going to be like why, and you're going to lose this much weight, and it's not going to be that. It's all about health and mental health and wellness.
And, you know, something that I also think is important, we sometimes feel guilty for the fact that we want to look a certain way. So we tell ourselves, I'm not allowed to set a goal of how I look because that's shallow. Or, we should just love ourselves the way we are. And of course, it's great if you can do that and if you're happy. But if you're not happy, it's also okay to have a goal that is physical. It's okay if it's an external goal. Just for me, it's a big motivator to feel good about myself when I look in the mirror. And that comes back to the why. And I just want to reinforce that the why doesn't have to be a very noble why. It can be yours. It can be something, the driving force that's really important to you, even if it seems shallow to the rest of the world.
Exactly. And that also comes back to how we should stop worrying about what everyone around us thinks. I was one of the biggest of them. I'm still working towards it because we constantly worry about what others think about us. I just think that's really like a big, loophole with the mindset of health. And if you know that you need to change something, and you resonate with this podcast, you're going to know that internally you have some work to do. And then let's say you go to a bribe, but your friends is not on the same journey. They're not there. It's not their path at the moment. You are going to be judged, or you're going to feel like you're being judged. But that's when you have to realize, okay, but this is for you. You're doing it for you, and you can't worry what everyone else thinks. It's too much. It's really.
Yes, on that note, I've changed my diet a lot of times throughout my life. And, I've gone on like 28-day juice fast. I didn't eat anything for 28 days. It was just juice. It was great for 2 weeks. And after that, it really sucked, but it was pure stubbornness that pulled me, pulled me through. But then you get invited and you sit there with your little juicy while everyone else is chowing chips and dips and all the nice bread rolls and whatever. And I think it also shows you who the people are that will support you, even if they don't agree with what you're doing. And that might be a sign of what friends you want to keep in your life. And I know we're going on a little bit of a tangent now, but just to your point, those who judge you and keep on grinding you for the fact that you want to improve your life, if you have a lot of people like that in your life, then it might be time to just find different communities as well who are a bit more supportive. And maybe instead of pulling back and dismissing your own goal, ask yourself, are you with the right people?
I love that because I also recently went through a 3 month fruit detox. My reason for going through it was, firstly, I was only going to do it 28 days, and that was for my own gut health. I wanted to reset it and cleanse my body. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to go into it for another 2 months, take it a little bit further, and then also incorporate, because I wanted to incorporate it into my nutrition packages, because I really did believe in it. But also there's different types of detoxes. So the one I went into was very severe, and I lost extremely a lot of weight. And I could see the people around me who was there. And it comes back to what you just said, and that's beautiful. Who's your true friends? Who sticks around because they're worried about you? Um, they're not in for it, but they support that. They understand that you're doing it for your reasons, and it's your journey. So yes, it points out who should be in your circles and who shouldn't. So it is a very good thing.
Yes, yes. Even just if you think about it, even if you don't talk to the people, but often when we want to go on a new journey or do something that's a bit out there, sometimes we have a voice or a face that pops up into our minds that say, oh, I'm feeling a bit hesitant to tell this person about my plans and my journey because I think they will judge me.
Yeah.
That already says a lot. Okay, so you mentioned something earlier about the 6 pillars or the 6 foundations of nutrition. If you could give us a rundown of what they are, that would be great.
So I'm going to mention them in order. I actually changed the orders about 2 days ago. So it's breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, movement, and thinking. I first had nutrition at the top, and then a very good friend of mine saw my status where I had this 6 foundational pillars on, and he said to me he would put breathing first, and the reason for that is we need breath to be alive. So the first thing when you come into this life, what do? You take a breath, and when you go out, you blow it out. So breath, I decided to do first, and breathing is for us, and I mean, okay, let me go first back to the 6 foundations. So I believe to have a balance with all 6 of these, and they're all like interlaced with each other in some form. So with breathing, when we are stressed, and we need to do, I believe we need breathing techniques to incorporate daily. Hydration is very important. So sleep, if we don't get enough sleep, well, our minds can't function properly and normal. And everyone differs, I know. So anything from 6 to 8, maybe even some people even need 9 hours. I'm someone that I have energy for the whole day. If I get and between 6 to 7 hours, I'm very good. I just don't sleep more than that. My body doesn't need it. So everyone's going to be different, but you can feel when you wake up if you haven't slept enough. So yeah, sleep is very important. Nutrition, obviously, what we put into our bodies. I believe in what we are, what we eat, in a sense. Movement is very important. We need to move our bodies, and that all comes down to mentality. And then thinking, the way our mindset thinks, especially now, let's say with nutrition. That's all things that we can work on. So this is the program I'm going to start off with, but also a guideline, and I'll have it ready by in the next 2 weeks. Whereby people that reach out to me, I'll give this to them to start following on a daily basis. So let's go back to breathing. Breathing can be anything from, it all depends on how you decide to work with yourself. But if you start taking time for yourself doing breath work, I do mine first thing in the morning. It just helps to clarify my mind. And then hydration as well. It's like I said with the glass of water. Hydrate yourself right through. Our bodies need electrolytes. We need water. And yes, a guideline is to say always 8 glasses of water. It's just a good guidance, but we need water. Okay. Sleep. Yeah, there's a lot that we can do. And this all comes down to your daily habits and things that needs to change. Like let's say we scroll on Instagram or TikTok, and we're not shutting down. So especially just before bedtime, that's the worst thing that you can do. We're not getting enough REM sleep in, but there's a lot of practices that we can do that can help us with this. And this is things that I will point out and give different broad spectrum of things to try out. And then movement can be anything from, you can do yoga, running, whatever movement doesn't need to be a form of pain, that you don't enjoy it, that you can't get yourself to do it. Even if you're not training at all, even if you say to yourself, okay, this week I'm going to set an intention just to walk around the block once. That's already a winning. And then gradually you start building up. I don't believe in you going cold turkey into anything, no meal plans, nothing, not even if you're trying to change habits. It needs to be gradually. I've done this too many times to see how people are failing. We're putting in too much on ourselves. And then even another thing I started doing, and I actually started in the winter. I wanted it to do the cold showers, a 2-minute cold shower. So that was horrible. I'm still doing it though. It's horrible, but it's so good.
I once almost killed myself trying to do the cold shower thing. I have to tell you that, because now I'm like, I love these extreme guys. I love David Goggins, and I want to be just as cool as them. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the cold shower thing. Dude, I went into the shower, and I had a nice warm shower, and then I turned it to cold. on my back, and I started hyperventilating really bad because it was so cold. So I'm in the shower. And then I don't know if it's the blonde that came through, but I turn around and I inhale the water while I'm hyperventilating. And then I started coughing uncontrollably. And in between all of it, I start laughing at myself because it must be so ridiculous the way I look in that moment. So yeah, I almost died trying to take a cold shower. So you're better than me in that regard. I take warm showers now again.
Yeah, I can just imagine. And that it comes back to that with when I said to myself, I want to try to do a cold shower. All my reason for that is to build up resilience, but also what it does to stress levels and your hormones, your recovery for your muscles. There's so much benefits to it, but that was my goal, my reason for doing it. And then I started it off. I know mentally I'm strong enough to do it 2 minutes. I get. But I said to myself, I'm not going to do it that way. Each week, I'll go up gradually. So the first thing I do is take a cold shower, and I reward myself with a warm shower. So that's how the brain also works, and it's the same with nutrition. You want to reward yourself with something, even if you, let's say, okay, it's something simple now. Like I used to have a coffee or my tea before a cold shower. Now it's like, okay, my reward is going to be after that cold shower. I'm going to have my warm cup of tea and coffee. And we do the same with food. And that starts, but it's healthy. It's a healthy, like, because you have this discussion with yourself the whole time. So you're rewarding yourself with something. Even if we work, we want to nibble on this or that and this. And it's all habits that we formed over time, but we need to break them again. So now tell yourself, okay, after I've done 2 hours of work, I'm going to reward myself with whatever you have planned for yourself. So things like that. And what it comes down to with the cold showers, I did it week one, I did 30 seconds, week two, 30, a minute, and I gradually went up, but I went into it immediately cold. And then afterwards, I'll have a warm shower. And then, yeah, so there's so many things that we can do. And I'm going to bring all of this out and put it out there for people to try out. And yeah, again, I don't believe in going cold turkey and into anything. We don't stick to it. So it doesn't work.
I fully agree. I think the focus should always be you should have a goal because you need to know where you're going. But then immediately after you've set your goal, take your focus on progress. It's
Yeah.
just about daily progress, even if it's tiny. When I started running, and I've told this so many times already on my channel, but when I started running, I was really, really bad with it. I'm still not great, but I'm a lot better. But, I just told myself, okay, today I could do 300 meters. If I can do 300, it means I can do 400. If I can do 400, it means I can do 500. And you build it up like that. Eventually, it's if I can do 10 kilometers, I can do 11. And it makes it so much more accessible. Instead of saying, I can't do anything now, but I'm planning to do an ultra marathon. You're not going to do it. Your brain's going to go, hell no, the gap is way too
Yeah.
big. Let's just give it up right now. So the same principle for healthy eating. If you're at the bottom of the barrel and you have no clue where to start, incorporate something Earth gave you. I love that, what you said in the beginning. If Earth provided it, then it's probably healthy. Or just cut out one soda with a glass of water. If you have 5 sodas a day, just replace one with water.
Yeah.
And every day see if you can increase just a little bit. Otherwise, it won't be sustainable.
It gets too overwhelming. It's like we know what like we all form bad habits, and then we need to learn how to like get rid of them again or let them go or actually replace them with just healthier habits because it's the same thing. Like let's say sugar. Sugar is an addiction. Like a person smoking, it's an addiction. So as soon as you can't just cut it. I believe in going gradually and just like you said now, let's say your main focus is to cut sugar because you know you're getting too much sugar in. Let's say you're having a slab of chocolate each day because it's a habit forming and you know, okay, this is the time that I have my slab as well. Let's say it's in the evenings. Because that's usually the time when most that I've realized most of us try or like eat unhealthy and do all the snacking as in the evenings, but that's the time that we are quiet and we don't want to accept what's going on all in here. So we don't want to face it. So we go for comfort. I know I've been through it, so I can vouch for it. I feel it. And it's difficult. It's not easy. If it was, everyone would be doing this and working towards themselves and their health. So sugar is one of the biggest problems in processed food. If you can tell yourself each week, okay, instead of, it's like you said, instead of having a full slab chocolate, this whole week I'm just gonna have half of it, but I'm still gonna have it. And then you keep on working towards, and I always say we have a dark and a light side towards us. It's the ego. Like it's gonna try and come in and say, okay, but it's too hard, don't do it. It's gonna be there. But you have to keep on, and that's when it comes back to, is your why big enough? And what is your reason for it? And then that will pull you through. And then your support system. Having a support system is crucial. We need each other. And one of my mottos is people need people in life. We can't do things by ourselves. I don't believe we're not always strong enough in certain aspects and just need some support. And there's nothing wrong with it.
Yes, that's very true. On the note of why, there's also value in asking yourself what the need is that you're experiencing in the moment, that you feel that you need to grab a chocolate or have a cup of coffee. And to give you an example of this, a while ago, I love coffee. I absolutely love coffee. But sometimes I'll be in front of my desk and, I would work for hours. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I need coffee now. And then one day I asked myself, am I really in the mood for it? Like the taste, what is it that makes me want to have coffee now? And I'm not saying don't drink coffee or anything. I think I'll lose all my viewers if I say stop drinking coffee. It's just an example. But I asked myself, why do I want coffee now? Is it really the taste that I want, or where did that urge come from? And very stupid, I just realized I just need a break away from my screen. That's the actual need. It's not the coffee. The need is I want to break away from my screen and take, just create a bit of distance. And then I realized, okay, if that's the real reason why I want a coffee, I can also just go for a walk, or I can just go and play with my dog, or do something that's just away from my screen. And then the need is fulfilled and I don't need coffee anymore. The same with the chocolate, the same with a glass of wine. Once you get that urge, take a moment to ask yourself, why do I have this urge? What is the need that I'm experiencing? Maybe I want a glass of wine because I want to just move away from my day. I want to just have some quiet within myself. If that's the answer, then explore different options of how you can fulfill that same need. Because then it's an easier, I always think if you take something away from yourself, you have to replace it with something else. Otherwise, there's a void. So if you take half a slab of chocolate away from yourself, replace it with something that will give you the same feeling or the same fulfillment.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's very important. It comes back to what I also believe: you don't just strip everything away, because it's habitual. We've grown so we formed these habits, and to break them does take time. But replacing it with something else that you're capable of replacing it, and you'll be okay. That's a healthy way to look at it, definitely.
Yes, yes. Another observation I've made, and I'm using examples from my experience because that's all I've got to go on. If I start to look at myself in different areas of my life, so if I gain control with exercise, for example, then I'm prone to want to eat healthier. So sometimes it's not about tackling the thing that's hardest, but taking control in a different way of your life. And once you feel that control and that sense of encouragement and success, then that motivates you to tackle harder topics as well. So coming back to your 6 pillars, I think if nutrition is a really hard one for you, start with one of the others, and you can comment on that. Start with the others and master them, gain momentum in them, and then move to the other ones.
With you. I think that's beautiful to put it out like that. So let's say with the 6, even if you decide, okay, what is most important for you that you want to focus on, choose maybe 2, or start off with 1. And then each week see, okay, I've got this one. I would like to bring this in. I think that's a very beautiful way of approaching it. So, and a very healthy one. So I agree with you on that. Movement is very, very, very important, especially if not everyone is able to train first thing in the morning, but to get that sun in on your skin first thing in the morning, we really need it. And we're so busy with life, and we're busy, busy, busy. Like, doesn't matter how busy I am. A certain time I will, especially in the morning after training, I'll have something to eat. I'll go sit outside. I'll even leave my phone in the office, everything. I'll go out with my meal. And either be with a friend, or usually it is with a friend, and then we'll sit outside on the sun, either on the grass or on a bench, and then consciously have that meal, because that's another thing that we haven't been doing. We're just eating in the ruts. We're eating in front of our laptops. We're eating in the car, and that's all habits. And I also got myself to doing it because you get busy, and then the next thing, okay, I have to eat, and I'm on the go, and it's all excuses. We're creating that. It's on us. We don't have to. We have choices. For you to say, okay, I'm getting hungry, or more or less what time you want to have your snack or your lunch. Everyone is different when it comes to time, spacing out food, but more or less, okay, I'm going to get hungry, or I want to eat something, I'm going to have my snack, and then consciously go outside, have it in the sun. We need about 20 minutes of sun. We're not getting that. We're sitting behind our desk. We're forming all of these illnesses. Even sciatica. People think sciatica comes more from training. It actually comes more from just sitting and working, not getting up, not moving. So all of this, that's why these pillars, that's why I bring this in, because all of this, like, what do you call it? It
It
interlaces.
supports. They're all
Yeah.
interconnected. Yeah.
It's not just about nutrition. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And start with the easiest one. I always say if you
Yeah.
feel completely out of control in your life, start with the one thing that's very easy for you. And I always go to training because I think that's the easiest, because you can probably go for a walk. If you have issues with, some people have issues with their feet where it's very painful for them to move around, you can do isometric movements while you're sitting in your chair as well. So the reason I like using training as the starting point is because it's physical. It's not really a mental thing. You get up and you just do it, and it's easy to see progress. You can see the reward quite quickly, and that gives you that feeling of success, and that gives you momentum, and that motivates you. And that beautiful saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So once you are disciplined in one area, it will be a lot easier to be disciplined in other areas as well. And
Yes.
on the note of discipline, and this will probably conclude our session, do you think brute force, and I think we've answered it already, but do you think brute force discipline is the right approach, or more the softer approach of I'm going to coach myself through this and I'm going to take it step by step?
Definitely not brute force. Even from my own experience, and then what I've seen with clients, it doesn't work. It's not sustainable. It always comes back to your old eating patterns, because you've never really um, worked on the roots of the cause. So you're just putting on a plaster the whole time, and you're just trying something else, and that's what everyone is trying. Then you're trying this bad diet, or this way of eating. So, and there's so many ways of eating. I mean, and then it comes back to what we've discussed. Like, we're confused. We don't know where to start. Start with what you know you can have, what your body can have, and stop trying to diet. That's the first thing I would say. Yeah. Stop dieting.
Okay.
Stop telling yourself that you need to. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Okay, so I think to sum it up, the first starting point is find your why. Why do you want to be healthy? And really get into the feeling of it. And this can be really anything. It doesn't have to be very honorable. It might just be, I want to fit into that damn jeans that I could fit into 10 years ago. That might be the only reason. Or it might be, I need more energy. I want to start a business, but I barely have the energy to make it past 12 o'clock. Maybe that's your motivation. So find the driving force behind why you want to start improving your journey in nutrition and your relationship with food. The second thing is, and I love those 6 pillars. I think I'll just list them in the description box below as well. Go to those 6 pillars and see what is the easiest thing to improve. Where can I start? Is it easy for me to improve on my sleep patterns? Is it very easy just to start the day off with a glass of water? Can I start exercising for 10 minutes a day? Just go and see what the first thing is that you can tackle and improve on that. Also, take it step by step. So you don't have to be perfect tomorrow. It's about just doing a little bit more of what you know is good. And also, once you remove something from your life, replace it with something positive. Otherwise, you're going to have a void, and that void is going to be filled with something negative. And then lastly, reach out to people who can help you if you feel alone. It can be communities on Facebook, it can be watching videos like this, it can be reaching out to Simone or health professionals in your area just to get the guidance if you're really feeling lost. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Simone.
Self-love. It's a very big one for me. It's like, and that was my turning point. That's the only reason why it's so big for me is when you start loving yourself, you start seeing the changes. Yeah. But this all comes down to the 6 pillars as well. That's all self-love because you're taking the time to give to yourself and what you need
And you're
to
taking
be healthy.
action, right? You're not just looking at the mirror and saying, I love myself, because you're not going to believe you. But if you take
Yeah.
actions that honor you, then that promotes self-love.
Even like setting boundaries, that's self-love. That's self-love. Something simple, small things. And it's like you said,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Well, I think that's a topic on its own, self-love and how to gain that. So I might have to invite you back onto this podcast so that we can have a discussion around that. Awesome. Okay, so as a last thing, can people reach out to you? Where can they find you? How do you have any resources or any way that they can connect with you?
Okay, so you can contact me. Currently, my website is still off. They're busy working on it. So you can contact me either on my cell phone number or on my email address. I'm sure that we're going to list it, yeah. And then, yeah, basically that's it. I'm situated in Benoni. Um, and yeah, so we can
Yes.
take it from there.
For the international listeners, that's in South Africa. So if you're not in South Africa, do you do online consultations, by the way? That's a good question.
My client base was all around and was Benoni and around like the Springs area, Dama. So everyone always came to me. But yes, if it's needed, I can do online. I've done it in the
Perfect.
past. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And you're also on Facebook, right?
Facebook as well. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, Simi's Health. I'll link all of the information in the description box below if you want to get in touch with Simone. Awesome. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for joining me. This was such a good conversation. I think, we can expand on this a lot, but if you follow those first steps that I just summarized for you and also those 6 pillars, I think then you already have a good starting point. I'm definitely going to try to be more conscious and also to reset the way I think about food and starting with one step at a time, just to what you said previously, we eat.
Yeah.
I'm like that. I eat for the sake of being full, not for the sake of enjoyment. And that might also be a great starting point, just to say, okay, what food is really tasty? And I'm just going to get more of that in my life in a healthy way, of course, and add it to my day-to-day thinking, not see it as a sideline subject, but seeing it as a priority in my life. So I'm going to try it out and I'll let you know how that goes. Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that you found value out of this conversation and that you have a bit more clarity of what the next steps are that you need to take. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and always remember to live a self-powered life. I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye.